Oy vey. I'm going to start with a disclaimer. I've known author E. Wade for 15 years. I've been calling her I. Wade for 15 years. In this video, you're about to hear me call her both I. Wade and E. Wade. Her name is E. Wade. She's a lovely person. She didn't get mad at me for mispronouncing it. Thanks, E. Love you.
Yeah, this is Wade, and welcome to School of Fiction channel. Hi.
So glad to have you for this inaugural interview. Everyone, this is I. Wade, a master of dialogue, an excellent novelist, and my friend of some 15 years. I want to start by talking about how we met and what we worked on together. Do you want to take that?
Okay. So yeah, this is Wade, and welcome to School of Fiction channel. And I met Matt like on Facebook in a Kindle writing group. So much fun with a good group, teach you how to write and all that stuff. I kind of miss that. Yeah.
I'm in some groups like that now, but they do have a very different feel because the Kindle kind of Kindle culture that we had at that time, it was say Amazon's transition to getting a better deal with the big five publishers, which was then the big six, now the big five. So there was a time when the possibilities were so great for independent authors, and now it's a lot tougher, and there are a lot of us, but we don't have that unity because it's not so clear, I guess, how to do it.
Yeah. And it was really friendly. Yeah.
And I'm sure I know you have also, because we kept that piece of community, that we still are in touch with a lot of people that we met in that group and that we worked with. And I even went ahead and wrote books with one of the people I met there as well, although I was under pseudonym then. So, what do you tell us about your work, your most recent work, and also the work that we're going to be talking about today?
I have like 15, maybe 20 books in different genres, and children's books, mystery, try my hand at romance and a little thriller kind of stuff. And they're all about, like, I have one book called Valerie that's been out a little while, and it's like a short story books, and every story in there, the girl is named Valerie from different ethnicities, social style, ages, but everybody's named Valerie because I like the song Valerie.
Yeah.
So that's how I got that going.
I love that. I love that. That's such a great idea of the just covering a wide variety of people, and it promotes the concept really of unity and shared experience. So
Yes,
that's awesome. It's
it's
really great.
good. And I also have a couple of books. I call them companion novels, and they're basically about like fertility treatments or abortion, and it's two different stories of how, like, one is a teenager. When they were teenagers, the couple had issues, and this one is Ismet's honor, and he was like the father, and the girl had her parents made her get an abortion, but the thing was about now they're adults and they have to handle that seeing each other again. So
That's
you know,
gonna that's gonna bring out a lot of really raw feelings, and I think that
yeah,
I would be excited and also devastated reading stories like that.
it would. They both have gotten a couple of good reviews. It's Rivington Bell, the guy and the girl. She works in a fertility clinic and she wants children, and he's like a counselor. So anyway, those two books work together because the same characters are kind of in both books. So yeah.
Well, I'm going to just note that as you're seeing this on YouTube, the description is going to include all the links to his Amazon page and to her website. And I'll just take a moment to show the website here. Shouldn't. Okay, so let me get this out of the way. There we go. So this is Wade-in-publishing.com. Here's Valerie, more recent book, and here we go. Fixes the Fault in the Stars. Awesome. These are the two books you were referring to.
Yes.
So I'm going to encourage everyone to go and take a look at I's work, and I love the ink. I just want to say,
My daughter draws that on for me.
oh,
Every time it, washes off, she redoes my head for me.
it's wonderful.
Thank you.
Okay. So our topic for today is naturalistic dialogue. And this is something that is often a struggle for new writers. So what is naturalistic dialogue? It means dialogue that sounds like real people are speaking. And the point that I wanted to jump in with here is that dialogue in fiction that seems real to us when we're reading it is not the same as how people speak. It actually has more purpose and more focus, and you're going to tell us about that in a number of ways. So let's start by asking this. Good dialogue is not as simple as reproducing how people actually talk, right? So what makes good dialogue different from transcribing real life speech?
So to me, a real natural dialogue helps move the story along. It brings people into action. As they talk, you'll find out all about them, their ages, their habits, their what gets them going. It also try to keep the reader into the story. And, it brings you where you want to go and that kind of stuff. And to me, the transcription is like taking a picture. And whatever you took that picture and whatever's there, that's just there. It doesn't bring you any further. That's it.
So one of your talents is the ability to distinguish individual characters by things like social class and education based on their word choice, their sentence structure. This is when you were working with me on the book How to Write Dialogue, to which you contributed some selections that I could analyze. I was particularly impressed by a conversation you had in which there were something like 4 or 5 people, and I could tell them all apart without any dialogue tags. So this is a talent of yours that really impressed me. Tell us more about that. How do you approach that? How do you do it?
So I don't know. To me, it's kind of natural, but also it's because I was pretty much the person outside of everybody, nobody a little bit bullied, and I just watched people and I learned how to just see how people can manipulate people with just talking. Words can do so much. It move you on, or it can devastate people. It's a manipulative kind of thing. And then it turns out, and I worked in childcare, and working with children who are learning how to use the language is amazing, because the way they can use words that we thought meant one thing and it'll mean a whole different world to them. And that also helped me to do language well, or to talking to people, to write people talking, I should say. I just enjoy writing. That's about it.
I'm dialogue is like my fictional specialty, and so I like to do a little kind of tour de force thing, like maybe partly inspired by you, in fact, in which I will have a large number of people talking and try to figure out how to maintain a conversation that really moves around as much as that, where ideally I don't have to put in so many dialogue tags. So
yes, I really like that too, because everybody, even if you've all grown up the same, everybody talks a little differently, and you can almost picture the different person saying something, because their personality might come out even in a description, but the personality will come out more in the words they use.
No, definitely, that I think we agree on this, that knowing the characters is the starting point to really, and part of that is things like note taking and planning. I don't know if you are in the habit of writing full character analyses. I did that when I was 15, but I don't do it anymore.
You know, and I hear people do outlines and stuff, and I'm amazed at how they can do that, because the voices in my head, I be thinking, oh, I'm going to write this about this person, but that person in my head is saying, no, I wouldn't even do this, you know? So I have to go to what that person is saying in my head.
There's a lot of feel, a lot of intuition. The creative process is very structured for some people, but for others, it is intuitive. I think for you and for me both. I mean, I like outlining, I like planning, but I very much more enjoy that feeling of just kind of just
So, yeah.
having it come to me, or having these surprises that the characters give you, like you're saying.
Yes. I have this one book, and it's called Tripping Prince Charming. And I started it off as for one couple in romance, right? The girl didn't always say she wasn't going to be that little princess, and she's not going to have no Prince Charming. She's going to pick who she wants. So as I'm writing for this couple, other people are in my head. So the book ended up being about 3 different couples, and it's written in like acts and scenes. So like in Act 1, when they each couple meet their person, it's all, you know, like scene 1, here's that couple, or here's the scene of meeting, and in each one it shows you each one's thing. So the book is really, it really has a lot of good critical reviews, and it was in USA Today, happily ever after blog site a couple of times.
That's
It's
wonderful.
just a different book, yeah. It's almost like if you read it, you would think, oh, it could be a play, but I didn't break it up where each person, you know, it's still books, but it has its scene and its act, and it's really good.
And the selection that you sent me has a rather remarkable meet cute in it. Now I know they're a romantic couple, right? Where they meet at a crime scene, and she
Yeah.
accidentally knocks him down a hill. You really know they're going to fall in love at that point, right?
Well, you have to keep on with the book to find out. You think though, you think so, yeah.
Yeah.
So for new writers, like I would just say write. I mean, but if you're the kind of person that takes notes and all that, do that. But then write your story, and either have somebody read it back to you, or you read it out loud, or you have the software that read it to you. And if you don't like it, just rewrite it, because nothing is in stone. Just write until it makes you happy and gets you where you want your story going. That's basically my way of writing.
When if you have a section of dialogue that you've written, then what sort of revisions would you be most likely to make in order to improve it and bring it up to your standards?
If I've already written the dialogue.
Right. Yeah. Well, how just trying to get at what do you say? Ah, that doesn't work. I want to change that.
Yeah. So that's basically it. Or if the words just aren't hitting correctly, or they not making me feel like this person would really say that, or it's gonna, and it won't keep us going, then I, you know, change it, and I said, oh, they're not saying what will get us to the next sentence or the next paragraph, you know.
So we kind of
Their
talk
actions
about story beats then, going to the next
yeah.
story beat, where the
Mhm.
dialogue moves us to the next place that we need to get to in the story. And of course,
Yeah.
characters create those for us just the same way that they surprise us in other ways.
Yeah, that's true. It is really true.
And suddenly realize, and this happens to me all the time, I'll be sitting with my notebook, maybe while I'm tutoring someone, I'm sitting with my notebook, and the character says something I wasn't expecting, and I like, oh, I have to have this other scene because now they're going to talk about that.
Yes, and it sometimes the character would mess up the rest of your book that you already had plotted out, and you have to see where they're going to take you, and if that's going to work, or if it's not, then you keep on going and trying to change or whatever.
Okay.
It's like dealing with children.
Definitely is.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the things that if we could kind of ask about that is, does this section of dialogue achieve one of two goals, or possibly both? To develop the character, in other words, to reveal things about the character that readers will find interesting, or that may matter later. You know, to advance the plot, to introduce conflict. So to advance the plot, if we're moving toward, because for me, plot is about conflict. The characters having goals and obstacles, right?
Yeah.
So if the dialogue advances the plot, then it shows the characters in some way thinking about, or or discussing, or directly acting upon the conflicts that they have in their minds, which could be, of course, the main conflict, but could also be the other story arcs that those characters are in. So I think to put what you were talking about is saying let's go somewhere is an example of that. Let's take our next action to
Or
deal with what's on our minds. With
yeah, or the internal, you can have the character have an internal conversation, like what they think this person's going to do, or how can we make this person do what we want before they open their mouth and say it, you know?
right, yes. So those considering thinking about the relationship before they make the next move in it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
because it doesn't always have to be a spoken conversation. It could just be the internal that'll help us move the story along also.
yeah, and then we have body language and facial expressions and things like that,
Yes,
which
surely.
people communicate a lot with, and sometimes miscommunicate too. I'm sure in real life we often will think that people have different attitudes or feelings about the situation that we're in than they actually do.
Yeah, by reading someone's face and you can just mess up a whole good thing.
Yeah,
Reading wrong.
and I have plenty of times.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes I even enjoy reading them wrong if I really need to get mad for a moment. I'll just like, yeah, that person is rah, 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 rah. And then later on I realize, oh, that was mean of me. Yeah. We do that. We definitely do that.
We do.
This is the meet cute I was referring to earlier. So we have Lily Rose, and here's what happened. She turned quickly. Lily Rose ran smack into the solid chest of the guy and knocked him off balance, not realizing he had followed her. Right. So he goes rolling down the hill. So for those who don't know the term a meet cute is what happens when people who are going to be a romantic couple have some kind of weird or awkward situation. And knocking someone down a hill would be pretty much par for the course in that. If you look at your Hallmark romance movies, it's typically the woman spilling coffee on the man in a coffee shop. But this one is a lot more dynamic and by far preferable. So she goes down and she wants to help him. Now, I am so sorry, don't move. She pushed him back down. So what we have here, she pushed him back down, is what we call an indirect dialogue tag. Right. So when you have the action that sort of indicates who spoke. I'm fine. I used a little survival training I learned and just hit my shoulder. So now we learned something about him. He has survival training. I'm really surprised that he's not hurt so badly. I'll be fine, maybe a little sore tomorrow. We also found out something else about him, which is that he's either tough or else he's going to present himself that way for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And then we also find out about Lily Rose. I'm so sorry. You sure? I could swear you hit your head. Let me check. She rubbed the side of his head and found a little knot rising. So here, this dialogue is not only demonstrating her personality, that she's a caring person, right? Certainly, some people would have run away after doing that and said she's trying to care for him, even though he might potentially be dangerous. So she's also brave. We learned something else about her. And we also learned that she knows how to detect injuries. She finds the knot. There's a small knot. You may need to go to the doctor. What happened? Why did you push me? Who did you see? So now we've learned about him. He's not angry. He's not being aggressive. He's still interested in what they were looking at initially. She pointed to the men standing down at the top of the hill, peering down at them. Police have come. So he gets up. Why are they here? Well, when you were standing in the path, I dialed 911 from my cell, but this jerk I hate was on the other line, so I hung up. I'm sorry I didn't think you would put the call through. I thought I would just make it back down, get in my car, and leave. Look, I'll help you up, she says, and clear everything, and then you can go into town and to the emergency room. So now we know that she has some non-friends in the police department as well.
Yes.
And that also is interesting. Anyone who's involved, who knows people in the police and isn't of the police, I'm automatically interested in that, right? And I'm fine. He shook her hands off his back. Another indirect dialogue tag, selling more about him. She's trying to take care of him. He's not interested. Go on up. I can probably make my way up there better by myself than trying to lean on you. So we learn a lot about these two characters. They're developing a relationship. It's somewhat contentious, but not unfriendly. We learned about some of their skills. We learned about some of their outside relationships and about how they want to present themselves. So very skillfully done, E.
Thank you.
A lot of information was developed about these characters just in the space of a couple of paragraphs. So do you recall what your goals were when you were writing this scene?
Yes. Since that is part of the scenery and the scene one of all three couples meeting, that was my goal was for her to meet him. And so they're like she's on a mountain looking up, and she's a real short person, like 5 feet. And so when he looked up, he really thought she was a child. So he went up to save this child, and it wasn't a child, So, and then so the back, where her back was, she was at a cliff, and he was in a path, but he moved out of her way. But anyway, ended up falling down the hill. But that was my goal, for them to meet.
So the fact that he thought it was a child is another nice feature of the meet cute too.
Yeah,
So,
it's a really good book.
Yeah. I'm very interested, and for just from that, I really want to know what happens between these two, and I also want to know what they were looking at in the first place. So,
and she was just a photographer. She's taking pictures, and he's just like, who is this person up there? When you find out about the hill, it's like where her and her friends used to be up there when they were children. And it's a whole little, like one of the girls' fathers built them a whole little like village to play up there as children. So that's why she was there. And he's just a hand at the place and at the ranch. And he's like, who is this stranger? Because he hadn't met her before.
Yeah. Well, we're going to definitely go into Tripping Prince Charming and see what happens next.
Yeah.
Oh, well, this has been a pleasure. Really enjoyed sitting down and talking to you. This is our first time actually speaking face to face. We've always been, communicating over the internet before. And you're even more charming than I expected.
Oh, thank you.
So I think we should definitely do this again. Let's think about some more
I was
topics.
so glad for you to invite me, because it made me think, oh, you know what, I need to get back to writing. Yes.
So I'm going to invite everyone always to write some questions in the comments, and then we will come back and try to talk about them again.